Hi, I hope you're doing well today. Yesterday was Independence Day, and I already know this, but Independence Day was just a great reminder for me to have a symbol, a symbolic day to reinforce the idea that the United States of America is such a great country. This country is such a great country. Now, there are a lot of great countries, there are a lot of wonderful countries, there are a lot of beautiful countries. And I was born and bred in Kingston, Jamaica. I migrated to the United States when I was 20 years old, and I was born and bred in Kingston, Jamaica for the first 20 years of my life. And Jamaica is a beautiful country. And if you get the opportunity to visit this beautiful country, definitely take complete and full advantage of this opportunity because it's an experience of a lifetime that everyone should be able to experience. And I believe that everyone should travel because put traveling and visiting different parts of the country, if you're in a country, or visiting different parts of the world and visiting different countries, really put things in perspective for a lot of people. And so, by no means is the United States of America um, a flawless country. Every place has its flaws, its crime, its deficiencies, its impoverishness. Areas will be impoverished. There are some areas that will be blighted. While some areas are dying, and while some industries are dying, other industries are being born and coming into their peak, or they're in the sunset years of their career as an industry. So, for every region and for every country, it's actually like this. And sometimes people may decide to protest when something is dying. But actually, that's a natural progression of a life cycle, is that things must be created and they will be invested in and they will have a peak, and then you will harvest, and then that will die. And so sometimes if we realize and put those things in perspective, then we will have an easier time with change and what is going on. And so, with yesterday being Independence Day for the United States of America, it just brings it back home to me why this country is so great, why this country is so great. And as I said before, I was born and bred in Kingston, Jamaica. And I graduated high school when I was 16 years old. I graduated high school when I was 16 years old. I actually went to Tivoli Gardens Comprehensive High School. For all my Jamaicans, I'm giving a shout out to Tivoli Gardens Comprehensive High School. And that's the high school that I graduated from at the age of 16 years old. I graduated high school when I was 16. And I have always been someone that has been interested in my own education. And I actually wanted to go to college. I wanted to go to college when I graduated high school, but when I graduated, I applied for student loans to go to college and I was not successful. I was not approved for any student loans, and so I could not go to college. Um, the uh, the Ministry of Education was allowing teachers if you wanted to become a teacher, you could go to teachers college, and that college would be free. And so you had to go and sit the entrance exam to become a teacher. And I was so excited. Me and a few of my girlfriends went and sat the exam, and I was not successful at that exam. And so I could not get to go to teachers college. And so I did not end up going to college in Jamaica. Instead, I actually got a job at the water company in Jamaica. So I started working when I was 17 years old at this water company. And I worked there for 3 years until I was 20 years old when I finally migrated to the United States of America, this great country. And when I was working at the water company in Jamaica, they realized that they needed more engineers because the water company is very technical. There's a lot of public works and infrastructure that needs to be developed or enhanced upon or maintained. So they realized that they needed more engineers. And so, what better way than to invest in their own employees? And so they created a program where they will fund you to go to school to be an engineer. And I love that. So I went and I was one of the people who took the exam to become one of the people who they would send to school to become an engineer. So I took the exam and I passed the exam to be one of the people who they would send to school to become an engineer. I think I was about probably 19, 18 or 19 at that time. And so they told me that even though I had passed the exam, they would not send me to the engineer school. They would not fund me. I was so greatly disappointed. You have no idea. You have no idea how greatly disappointed I was, because you have to remember that I was always interested in my own education. I always wanted to have a better way of life. I always wanted to advance. I always wanted to be more and do more. So when they told me that even though I passed the exam, they would not approve me. And I think they said it was because of my age, because I was just 18, 19 at the time. And you have to realize that there were other workers there that were 30 and 40 years old, and they have kids and bills and mortgages and way more responsibilities than I had. And they felt like investing in those people would probably be better. And I had more time. They felt like I would have more time and they would have more time with me to invest with me because I was so young. I could spend another 5, 10 years at the company and still not be as old as some of the other people who they felt needed this education more urgently than me. So I am not upset at them for making that decision. I do understand, I do realize that maybe other older employees seemed more urgent. Their situation were probably more urgent than mine since I was just 18 or 19 at the time. But was I greatly disappointed, extremely disappointed. So when I finally got the opportunity to migrate to the United States of America, my father um, uh, um, what made it possible for my siblings and I to come to the United States of America. When I came, I think on the ride from the airport to his house, I said, I need to go to school. I need to go to college. And so he said, okay. So I quickly took my GED, studied for about a month. So I went to the local library, studied for about a month took my GED and passed my GED exam. And when I passed my GED exam, I said I need to go to college. So I decided that I needed to go to college. So when I told my dad that I needed to go to college, he had a neighbor, Miss King. Hi, Miss King. So Mrs. King. So Mrs. King, um, my father took me over to talk to her, and she was telling me about this college called Edward Waters College in Jacksonville, Florida, which is about 3 hours away from where my father lived, which is in Central Florida. Miss King, she had a old application um, in her dresser drawer that she gave me for Edward Waters College, and I quickly filled it out and mailed it off. And then when I mailed it off, Edward Waters College actually said yes. They're like, yes, you're accepted into our college. They're a historically black college, which is great. And they accepted me into their college with a huge issue. The issue is, where was I going to get the money to go to college? I didn't have any money. So even though I had this acceptance letter, I had no money to go to college. Um, so that began a problem. So I said, where am I going to get money from to go to college? So um, people started saying to me, well, you can apply for student loans and Pell Grants, and you need to complete this form called a FAFSA, and then they'll assess you and decide if you need to get loans and all these things. So I completed my FAFSA application and I mailed it in. I had just been in the country at this point. I had just been in the United States at this point, probably 2 months. 2 months. And I was already took my GED. I was already accepted into a college, and I already had my FAFSA application submitted in. So FAFSA responded to me and they said I made mistakes in my application. So I needed to correct some mistakes that I had made. So the funniest thing about the FAFSA is when I applied, I started getting when I applied to FAFSA for for the student financial assistance, I started getting letters from these companies saying how I needed to pay them $1,000 and $800 and all these money for them to help me to complete my application. So I just want to say you don't need to do that. They still do it today. But if that's someone business and someone actually does need help to do it, then if you need help, you can utilize the services of a company. But when you're completing your application, they give you time to correct it if you have made a mistake. And so it's by no means you will get rejected or anything like that. So I made the correction and I resubmitted my application, and it was approved this time and I got some student loans. Now, I was not able to get all my tuition paid. So when I arrived, I was not able to get all my tuition paid. So I had to do loans as well. So I did get some financial aid in terms of grants, but most of my assistance was actually in loans that I had to repay. So at that point, I was shipped off to that community college, shipped off to that college in 4 months. In 4 months after coming to the United States of America, I was finally in college. And I was in the dorm in college and taking college courses and actually finally enrolled in college. So I just want to say, with yesterday being Independence Day, about how great this country is, that you are able to capitalize on all these opportunities that are available. By no means is this country perfect, but the opportunities that are here and that you can't find in a lot of other countries, this country is absolutely great. It's an absolutely great country. And while sometimes I'll hear people bashing this country, I just want to say that this country is not perfect, but it is great. It is actually great here because of the opportunities that are here. There are imperfections here, but the opportunities that are here are so splendid. So here I was at the age of 21 years old, finally going to college, finally realizing my dream of being college educated. So I went to Edward Waters College for 2 years. And then by this time, my family was actually in Maryland, and I love my family desperately. My mother was in Maryland, and my sisters were in Maryland. And these women I love with all my heart. So I transferred from Edward Waters College to the University of Maryland, and I finished my education there with a Bachelor's of Arts in government administration. I have a Bachelor's of Arts in government administration, and I completed my college education in 4 years. And I completed my college education in 4 years with a $45,000 student loan bill. So I left college with $45,000 worth of student loans. Now I'm completely paid off today, but it was a process. Believe me, it was definitely a process, but I worked hard at it. I went on a payment plan at first, and then I accumulated some money after a certain time, and I paid off one lump sum at the end. And so I'm fully free and clear of this student loan. But I just want to emphasize, I just want to emphasize what a great country this is. What an absolutely great country. So, the United States of America, your birthday was yesterday. Happy Independence Day. What a great country you are. Because for someone like me to migrate from such a beautiful country, my country is beautiful, absolutely beautiful, and to come to this country and be able to realize my dreams of being college educated, to get the opportunities that I am getting to be college educated, to be able to fund my own education, to be able to start a business, to be able to have a successful business, to be able to hire people, to pay staff so that staff can pay their mortgages, pay their rent, pay their car notes, send their kids to school, take vacations, put money away for savings, to be able to come to this country and to capitalize on what this country has to offer, and even use what this country has given me to benefit so many other families. This, I must say, is a wonderful, wonderful country. So, yesterday was your birthday, United States of America. Happy Independence Day. You are a fantastic country.